Hello, Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Fire Force Chapter 253. When we last left our heroes, the Cataclysm finally started in earnest. Before that, we had Charon's last final attack that resulted in kind of nothing. Maki and Hinoa were able to deflect it to attack a dragon. But Dragon survived, according to Arthur. We haven't actually seen him. I don't know, Charon's death was just kind of weird. More interesting, though, is the weird eyeball structure that is now looming over the Tokyo Empire, with 8 pillars, which is always significant, holding it up. And then at the end of the chapter, we see that basically the rest of the planet is on fire, with the exception of the Empire. And also that the eyeball thing is absorbing people's thoughts. Lots of interesting things going on with the Cataclysm. I still feel that Charon's death was kind of anticlimactic, and he deserved better. So yeah, let's jump right on into Chapter 253, The Devouring Shadow. On our cover picture here is largely blacked out. Within white, we have Adola, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then Reality, question mark, which I think is translating these two characters here. I think the Adola is translating the characters up top. What links the 8 pillars? Is it reality? Is it dreams? Chapter 253, The Devouring Shadow. And so we open with what looks like Company 4. Large-scale fires are igniting all over the Empire. We can't possibly tell how many victims there are. And Pan just looks up. That eyeball in the sky. And Corinne asks, is this the Cataclysm? The horizon is on fire. And we see they have a bit of a ground level view of the pillar, one of the pillars. I'm curious, is that where the stone pillar was? Was there a stone pillar there? Because that would make sense if the stone pillars were rising as preparation for the eye. Though those pillars were vertical and not kind of leaning into a dome shape. And then we see some Holy Saul priests and nuns. This is just like in the scriptures. As the prologue states, in the distant past, mankind incurred the wrath of the stars, and the world was wrapped in flames. This was the day of the great cataclysm. Oh no, I think it might just be civilians. I'm not sure though. But we see, the more urban area of Tokyo, and we see the eye looming over it. This is the kind of imagery I'm really, really digging. It's divine punishment. We see a bunch of people running past Hoyan. It won't be long before this world's... and Hoyan kind of continues the prologue. The flames burn so vigorously, and with such fury they consumed the land on which humanity lived. The words they spoke and the cultures which they had built up for themselves. And then that one girl who we met very briefly in the post-time skip time. Onyango's daughter or granddaughter, I think. I don't remember her name. Lieutenant Hoyan, where should we evacuate the citizens? And Hoyan tells her, we need to get them somewhere safe. And Kareem comes in. Somewhere safe, huh? Is there even such a thing on this planet anymore? I mean, he's got a point. He's really got a point. And then Kareem kind of monologues to himself. Is this the world you wished for, Rekka? The world that you strived to have? The path you believed in? I like that. I like Rekka kind of gets forgotten. Both because he was really a minor player in the White Clads, and because that arc was just not good. But for Kareem and Hoyan, Rekka was their best friend. And one of the things I've always liked about their storyline is that they have never forgotten Rekka. Rekka has been a driving force in their characters since Rekka died. Yeah, minor thing there. We're seeing Kareem just this is just horrific. And then we finally come back to Company 8. As we see, I don't even know where they are. I mean, I'm assuming they're in Amaterasu, but we don't see any landmarks. We just see flame around them. Not even Ritsu is still there. And Tamaki looks around. Did that put the Infernals to rest? On Obi, for the time being, it seems so. Is she referring to deflecting Charon's attack? Or what? What put the Infernals to rest? I don't know. And we see Ogun, who is not still not even able to move, lying on the ground. The white-clad scheme. Has the cataclysm been averted? And we see Maki, because I guess Ogun is just not conscious enough to really be aware of what's going on. And Maki is like tearing up. We couldn't overcome Charon's conviction. And just then, Victor bursts out of Amaterasu. You! Licked, where's you? Wait, what happened? Because he should. How did he lose you? And Victor, well, I'm afraid I can't see him from here. And Lisa is also emerged. What the hell is all this? Arrow. Oh, right, because the two of them are white clads. They know what's going on. This is exactly the result we had planned for. And Victor chimes in. The unification has begun. The worlds of perception and reality have become one, and about half of the planet is in flames. I mean, we're lucky that, like, no one really lives on the rest of the planet. As I recall correctly, there aren't really people outside of Tokyo and, like, the Chinese peninsula. But yeah, it's you know, we're midway through the Cataclysm. And then we see the first 4 pillars. Madness with Amaterasu, passivity with Haumea, apathy with Sho, rage with Shinra, destruction with Inca, fear with Nataku, disgust for Sumire, and despair for Iris. Okay. I'm trying to, like, pass these terms on to these characters. Like, destruction and fear I can see. Madness, we don't know enough about Amaterasu to really comment. Rage really only fits for Shinra's public perception. So, like, is that what this is? Is this based on, like their... It's hard to say they're doppelgangers, because Iris doesn't have a doppelganger. She is a doppelganger, and Iris isn't really despair. We don't know enough about Sumire. Maybe Sumire is disgust. I also do like, though, everyone has this kind of, like, smooth, anime face going on, and then you get to Sumire, and she's just, like, old and wrinkled. Something about, like, the stark difference is kind of funny to me. But anyway, I certainly don't see how Maya is passive. I mean, maybe you could argue that her reading all of the world's consciousness is kind of the world's consciousness affecting her and her not affecting it, and maybe that's somewhat passive? I don't know. That's just a weird word to describe Haumea. Apathy could fit with Sho's public persona. I don't know about despair and Iris either. But anyway, important thing is, this is the first time we've seen the pillars in like 20 chapters, if I recall correctly. Maybe 15 chapters. So yeah, that's a big sign. And we see like an image of Haumea walking by the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th pillars as she thinks / maybe says to the others, "Can you hear it? This is all of humanity's collective unconscious that I've heard up until now. The only hope that exists in this world is resignation, otherwise called optimism." Oh, that's not supposed to symbolize each pillar. That's what they're experiencing. They're experiencing that particular part of the collective unconscious. Okay. And then maybe that particular part of the collective unconscious is affecting them. That's why we see Shinra in his rage face. Why we see Sho look so listless. Haumea is just kind of blank. I wouldn't really call Hashirame's face mad, but whatever. The destruction in Inca, we see Nataku look scared. I guess Sumire's face could be disgust, and maybe Iris's could be despair. But at least that makes more sense than they each symbolize that feeling. Anyway, there's no such thing as real hope. Everything in this world, from humans all the way to the stars, heads towards destruction the second it comes into being. Please imagine for a moment. Imagination creates and erases all possibilities, and we see an image of Hamea's hand. So shall we continue? Let's bring this story to an end. So she's taken on a very kind of narrator vibe, I guess. I don't know why. After all, despair is not a particularly special thing. And then we come back to the real world, where Company 4 is kind of directing the evacuees. Please follow directions from fire soldiers and evacuate in an orderly manner. Slow down. Please try to stay safe. And then we see one of the soldiers is kind of freaking out. It's too late. The world is done for. And his friend kind of stops him. You idiot. Don't give up. But what can we do at a time like this? This is the end. And then he looks up, shocked. You're... me. Is that his doppelganger? Oh, are everyone's doppelgangers just unleashed on the real world now? Oh, shit. Okay. That's happening. And then the doppelganger kind of leans its arm back and, like, grabs him in a body hold. Ooh, ah, 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 ah! And his friend can only watch in terror. Oh no! And then as the first fire soldier just burns away, the doppelganger looks at the survivors. What the heck? And Pon calls, what the hell is that? That thing looks exactly like him. It's a doppelganger. In a world filled with flames and despair, a doppelganger has just devoured a human. Is there any fate left for this planet besides burning to pieces? To be continued, chapter 254, The Whereabouts of Hope. Okay. Alright. So, this is definitely an interesting chapter. I'm curious if some time if even just like a few minutes have passed, or like 10 minutes or so have passed between 252 and 253, just because it would kind of make my confusion in the Company 8 scene a little more clear. Like, going back to the end of 252, right? Nothing's really happening that would get rid of the Infernals. You know, Arthur and Hinawa comment on the final Charon attack, and then Obi has his what the hell's happening to our planet bit, and then the chapter just kind of ends. And so I don't see how any of that leads into did that put the Infernals to rest? Unless something happened off screen for like 10 minutes or so. Which would also explain how Vulcan and Lisa have lost you, / Giovanni, in reality. I'm pretty sure you is just dead. So yeah, the start of the Company 8 scene, I realize now is only like 2 pages, but it's just kind of really weird. It feels like there's something missing there. And I don't know, like, it doesn't feel like a full chapter. It just feels like there's a scene or something missing. Beyond that, though, the chapter is great. It's really just everyone. A lot of it is just kind of the reaction to, you know, this apocalypse imagery appearing and destroying the planet. Like I said, I love Kareem's quick little scene. Is this the world you wished for, Rekka? That's some real good shit. Like I said, how much Ho-Yan and Kareem still care about Rekka is one of the just the really good things about their characters. And then we see the pillars as they're accepting the collective unconscious. And here's kind of something I've kind of been thinking about in my spare time, is that as a shonen series, you know, inevitably, I think the general vibe, in broad strokes, I think the ending is kind of going to move towards, in regards to the collective unconscious, is sort of, you know, the iconic Kingdom Hearts' Light twist, where it turns out the collective unconscious is much more hopeful than we previously believed. But I'm kind of curious, given that a shonen manga would not say, "Oh, by the way, life just fucking sucks." That's very much not the vibe of a shonen manga. And yet we see the collective unconscious. We see that it drove Haumea to madness. We see the 8 emotions that represent the collective unconscious. And so, I'm wondering what exactly, how exactly the general, Haumea and the White Cloud are wrong is going to vibe with the fact that we've seen the collective unconscious, and it's largely negative. The big theory that just popped in my head like 5 seconds ago is that the evangelist is manipulating things, that she's manipulated what Haumea has received for her whole life. She's only allowed Haumea to get the negative things. And if that's true, even wilder theory, could Haumea have a not quite redemption arc, but at least like face turn? I mean, I doubt it. I doubt that's going to happen. But also, I don't think it's completely outside the realm of possibilities. We'll have to wait and see. But I'm skeptical, even as I say it. I'm also, again, really curious about this idea of Haumea as narrator. It reminds me of Xiao Mei in Eden Zero. And I'm curious, like, especially this on page 14, so shall we continue, let's bring this story to an end. I don't know, I'm curious if Okubo means anything with that or not. I just don't know. And then doppelgangers are everywhere. Which means I'm guessing Burns' long-teased doppelganger will soon be here. Maybe even Benny's doppelganger will soon be here. Shinra doppelganger is going to show up, obviously. Yeah, the Cataclysm is really kicking off, and it's great. It's some good shit. Watching everyone deal with the end of the world. And I can't wait to see where we go from here. So I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you all enjoyed the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe or, do whatever makes you happy, And remember, your life is your own, okay? Bye!